All right, y'all, it's Ryan from Happy Trader here, and here's a step-by-step trade walkthrough. I'm going to run you from top to bottom every single step through an example trade. It works the same for all brokerages, but for this example, we will use E-Trade, and this is my preferred broker for both real and paper trading. So the first thing you want to do is take a look at your alert. It's going to pop right up in your app after you subscribe. You can see that nomenclature and that formatting of the alert itself. You can also see that there were alerts that went out prior to the actual trade alert to get members ready. So as you can see in this trading example, Happy Trader Bot announced an alert. And for the first month, we recommend viewing an alert on a mobile device and then plugging the trade in on a Mac and PC so you can actually look at what the alert looks like versus how it needs to plug into the PC or the Mac. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can also write down the alert. In this case, we will be using a trade from Friday, December 16th, 2022. That's the day that I'm recording this, and I'll go over not only entering the trade, from the alert, but also adjusting the trade if need be. And you can see the trade right there at the bottom of the slide. All right, and the next step is just simply to select the ticker SPX. And the next step after that is super simple as well. Step 3, just click the options chain button. This is going to be available on any brokerage. All right, so the next thing you want to do is just look at the top left there. That's our alert. Let's pretend that's on a mobile device. You want to select your puts first because they're first on the alert. First one is the short put, so that we're going to sell. A short put means sell. We're going to sell the 38.40, so we want to click right there on that number. And then we want to buy the 38.10 put. So you want to select that under the ask column and make sure it's green. Green means buy and red means sell. And you want to repeat the exact same thing for the call side. So we're going to look at our alert at the top left. We see 38.85. We're going to go ahead and set up the short call first. So we're selling the 38.85 call. So we click the number there, and then we buy the 39.15 call, and then that completes our iron condor. Step 5 is just to make sure that everything looks right, make sure it matches up to your alert, and go ahead and send the trade. At this point, you want to wait about 30 seconds. If the trade doesn't fill, you're going to want to click Modify Order right at the bottom there where the arrow is. If your trade fills on the first try, that's great. You don't have to do this step. But if you don't get a fill and you have to hit modify, go ahead and look at these arrows. We originally were going for $45 of credit. Now we're going to drop it down, and we're going to drop it down in 5-cent increments. So we went down to 35 submitted. We couldn't get a fill there after 30 seconds. And finally, I was able to get filled at 30. So you can see estimated amount you will receive is $30. And you can see that the price type is a limit credit. The price is set at 30. And you can see that little dot is kind of like the bid price, the mid, and the ask. So we collected actually a little bit more credit than the mid. Typically, you want to it'll automatically usually set to that mid price. And typically, you'll want to lower it in 5-cent increments until you get that fill. So assuming you had to modify the trade, you just wait for it to fill after you submit it. It will fill. And then once you get filled, it'll say filled quantity 1, and then you're good to go. Your trade is entered and you are in the trade. All right, so the next step is to immediately enter your stop loss. This is the most important part of the strategy and of the trade. Entering a trade, you want to select your iron condor, double click it. It'll bring up this screen. If you're using a different brokerage, it should work similarly. Just make sure you figure that out. On a simulated, account, you can use any brokerage for these trades. They all pretty much work the same as far as the options chain and entering the trade. So in this case, you want to set a stop limit debit, with a trigger. We're going to use a 4x stop. We usually announce between a 1 and a 3x stop. The reason I used a 4x is because this trade was entered right at the end of the day, and the market can fluctuate quite a bit, and you don't want to get stopped out by entering too tight of a trade. And that was just for this example. So this is a 4x. So we collected $30 in credit. We originally wanted that 45. You can see at the top left. We ended up with 30 because we had to modify the trade, and now we're going to set a 4x stop. So we collected 0.3. So if you multiply that by 4, you're going to get 1.2. So that's $120 max loss. It will not go further than that if you set this trigger, and you have to set this trigger the first thing you do after you enter the trade. Otherwise, you break the entire strategy of Happy Trader, which is the risk management aspect. So definitely enter in that stop loss. All right, now that your trade's in and you set your stop loss, everything looks good. You have that trade on and matches what's in the alert. What you're going to want to do is look at the open net gain. You're going to see that some of the legs of the trade are negative. Ideally, you want to have at the expiration, you want to have those short puts and calls be in the green. That's exactly what happened here. So we ended up with a $25 gain, but it did actually end up expiring worthless once it's settled. The SPX is a cash settled index, so we collected that entire 30 cents. Now, one thing you don't want to do is sit here and stare at the trade. It'll fluctuate a lot when you first put it on between going in the negative, going in the positive. But just remember, we're playing the probabilities. Not every trade is going to be a winner. But if you follow the process of putting on the trades that are announced and setting the stop losses, you're going to limit that risk and you're going to allow that 80 to 90% or that 75 to 95% variable win rate to automatically take effect. And this is over the course of a week or over the course of a month that you will need to pop these trades into your simulation account. You will have some days that you break even. You will have some days that you lose, but we keep the losers small and we have way more winners than losers. And that's the secret behind Happy Trader, aside from the fact that we actually come up with the trades, which is the real secret sauce. And again, you can see here, if you go to the performance tab, you can see that our total gain on that trade was as expected, $30 gain. That means it was a 100% winning Iron Condor that we sold. We waited for time to decay. In this case, it was the end of the trading day. We let it expire worthless, and we have our $30. All right, and some key points to remember. No trading system has a 100% win rate. By using the stops and letting the probabilities play out, for us, it's usually between a 75 and a 90%, somewhere in that range, depending on the volatility of the overall market. You have to put in the trades that Happy Trader announces into your sim account or your real account if you're a seasoned member, and you want to set those stops right away and you want to honor those stops. So you want to view the trading log on our homepage, happytrader.io. You can see the PNL by date. You've probably already done that if you're a member. That's a free instant download, and you don't have to pay to get the logs. And you can also download all of the timestamp trades. You can see the stops, the timestamps, match it up against the market. Make sure it's legit, which it is. But just for full transparency, that is there for you. You want to also remember to always paper trade for the first month, and that the edge in our system lies in the trade alerts combined with honoring the stop losses. It is very, very important to trade as we alert and as we announce. And the last thing is that we only enter trades and set stops. We do not exit trades. We do not panic exit out of trades. We let a trade get stopped out if that's how that trade plays out. We let a trade expire worthless if it's to be a fully profitable trade. And I just wanted to thank you for watching. Again, my name is Ryan. I'm the CEO and head quantitative researcher here at happytrader.io. I want to thank happytrader.io team for putting this together so quickly with one of my trades. Hopefully this makes sense for you, and you can get full access today for just $9.99 if you're not already a member. Thanks again, and happy trading.